Hello, people of YouTube.
Hello.
I am American McGee.
I'm Martin.
And we are coming to you live today from Shanghai, China.
As we are every week.
I thought that we would start off today's stream by just giving a quick description of what we're up to here to those who've never tuned in before. What do you think about that?
We do seem to assume that everyone here knows what's going on.
That's true.
So why not do a quick recap?
So what we're working on is crowd-sourced design. I guess you could say in the past fan-driven design, but crowd-sourced design and production and pre-production of art assets, artwork, concept art for weapons and costumes and game design and narrative design for a new Alice game, among other things. But the bulk of what we're talking about during these live streams is all the pre-production work that's going into Alice Asylum, which if you go over to my website, AmericanMcGee.com, or to Patreon/AmericanMcGee, you can find all kinds of details related to timelines and strategies for getting a new Alice game made.
So head on over if that sounds like the thing you're interested in.
Right, so we are using all this new media stuff to connect directly with our audience, that's you, and our fans, that's lots of you, to produce artwork, design, and all the things that go into getting a new game made. And we have made incredible progress over the last 8 months, 6 months. Quite
it's been a while now.
It has been a while. But so anyway, a big shout out to our existing supporters and fans out there, and welcome to anyone new who's never been here before.
Welcome.
We are going to jump right into art review.
Yeah.
And this was an image that our good friend Alex Crowley did, which I turned into our YouTube cover image and tweeted out. It got a big response.
Yeah, checking out the Patreon comments for this yesterday, it's everyone's really loving it. I think we've probably decided this is next month's Patreon poster.
The poster itself looks like this.
Yes.
And it's gorgeous. And I used it as a mailing and sent it out to our 40,000 person strong mailing list. And we also posted it up on Twitter and Facebook and a bunch of other places. But I had specifically asked Alex and Jennifer to work on artwork that incorporated alchemy and the White Rabbit as a way of inviting people into Wonderland and what we're working on these days. Turned out awesome.
It really did. Before we move on, though, I'd just like to give a shout out to everyone in the chat. As soon as the stream started, everybody gave us greetings and hellos. All of our regulars and some names in there I don't recall seeing before, but yeah, hello to everyone.
Hello.
We're seeing your hellos.
We are seeing.
Don't worry.
All of these familiar faces and names, like Andrew and that one hot Asian chick, and of course Greg,
Lucas,
the captain of the SS Greg's Junk.
Yeah, they're all here. The gang's all here.
There you go. And for the gang that is here and has been here, they all know that every week we give out prizes. Now, last week's prize got a good response, and it had me thinking that this week we are going to give out some of the Alice embroidered patches, but I've also picked out a new prize.
Just one lucky person will get squirrel fingers.
Squirrel fingers. I was trying to think how you do better than giving away someone's junk, and I stumbled on squirrel fingers, and I thought, you know, I don't even know why this exists, but clearly it exists to be a prize during one of our live streams. So there you go. So during the course of this live stream, we will have 4 breaks where we give out prizes. Now, one of the prizes, the main prize, will be the Alice embroidered patches, which you can buy on Mysterious. We'll give away 3 of these, but we will also give away one very valuable set of squirrel fingers.
We wanted unicorn fingers.
They were sold out. Of course they were sold out of unicorn. I mean, if you saw unicorn fingers for sale, you'd just buy them.
You would, wouldn't you?
All right, so first up, we have some new dress designs from our good friend Omri Koresh. Omri has sent along, per my request, some of the clothing we might see Alice wearing in the Asylum. And so we do have here two variations. One is sort of the real-world version of what we might see her wearing in the Asylum, and then the other is sort of the Wonderland filtered version. And, of course, he has taken reference from Madness Returns. These, for those of you who own the art book, you would recognize these as cutouts from the art book and the Asylum dresses that she wore in Madness Returns.
Yeah. Oh, look at that. Super chat from Ray Weatherford. Big one, too. Thank you very much, Ray. Ray says, loves the idea of Alice drawing runes on her dress for each area and would like to expand on the idea. What if she were to enter each area with the base dress, then search for runes for the area to acquire the area dress? So, start each area, then scribble to make it real.
It's a great idea. And actually, when Alex sent along the suggestion, which is up on Patreon right now, he did mention that he was not the first, or I should say he had seen that someone on Patreon or in the chats had mentioned a similar idea. So obviously this has been floating around out there, a couple different people thinking about it, but he did put something together for the recent Patreon post, and we kind of had an example of that there. And yeah, I think it's a cool idea. You start off each area. She has the standard dress or the standard dress for that area, and then through some sort of collection and search mechanism, you power her up with the runes.
Why not? Yeah. Sounds good.
I think we need to get that sort of thing clearly written out over on the wiki.
The wiki is being updated.
It is. But this is exactly the kind of information we want to have there.
Yeah, well, I've seen Ice Killer in the chat, so he's aware of it. Yeah, cool. One of our wiki editor dudes.
And we do need to find more wiki editors.
Yeah, we do, and we will.
Alrighty. So yeah, this is Omri's latest, so curious to hear the feedback from everyone. Did we post this on Patreon?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. And I think it did get a very positive amount of feedback.
They do. Lots of Omri's recent work is really doing well. Lots of amazing comments from people about it.
So then he'd also sent along, which was, again, I don't remember if we posted this up yet, but this is the actual hospital outfit. So this would be Alice, keeping in mind this is going to be soon after the fire and her being admitted to the first hospital. This is not the mental institution, just the regular hospital.
Okay.
So, yeah, I think this is, it's pretty basic, but it's pretty nice.
Yeah. It does what it says on the tin, as we like to say. Ray Weatherford, super chats again. Thank you very much. Excellent stuff, Ray. Additionally, to what you said earlier, how about adding opposing runes to allow her to gain defensive bonuses while exploding said areas?
Yeah, so this goes directly to, I think, what Alex had written for the post that we did recently over on Patreon. So he had proposed this idea of sort of the Vorpal blade in shards, and that you'd collect those pieces, and then that would allow you to form up the weapon, the Vorpal blade. But it could also, he recommended, form up different shapes of weapons. And of course, one of the ideas is that it could shape a shield of some sort, so that these bits of chaos and the ruins and all this could come together to power both offensive and defensive items.
So it's the same pieces go towards each weapon, or
Well, I don't know that we've fully decided how this works just yet, but I mean, under the old sort of shard logic that many a game and anime and everything has incorporated over the years, even the most recent Avengers movie, the collection of disparate pieces, and then once you have enough of them, you'd be able to put something together. So perhaps, you only need X pieces to put together the Vorpal blade, but you need X plus 5 to put together the Vorpal scythe.
Gotcha.
Yes.
Okay.
Did you copy the comments regarding whether or not little girls can wield a scythe?
I did not.
Okay. I thought that was quite an interesting debate unfolding over there. But yeah, Alex did also send along what is, I believe, a screenshot from Doom to kind of illustrate the idea of using ruins to update her abilities.
Okay.
So next up, this is a variation on what began as what we were calling the bargaining dress, but he then changed the name of it to the pleading dress. And so for those of you who saw in previous streams the green suit, the bargaining suit, or the bargaining dress, it was green, it was quite strong, I guess would be a word. And I'd said to Omri that, hey, look, in the state of bargaining, the idea might be that she's, you could equate that with groveling, begging, as he's named it here, pleading. You're not really coming from a position of strength if you're bargaining, at least not in the context of the grief cycle. And so denial and bargaining, these are not powerful places. And I'd said, maybe let's do a dress, an outfit that kind of feels a little bit like it's coming more from a place that's not so powerful. And this was the result.
Yeah, it's a little more tatty than the previous one, is it not?
Yeah, I mean, this is actually pretty clean. I don't see a lot of distress or dirt. There's a few hints.
There's a little.
Yeah. I mean, it's I guess we could say it is a bit dirty, but it's not like it's all torn up and broken.
No.
For sure, he has sent along dresses that are burnt, singed, and otherwise severely damaged. And I think if his intent was that this feel like it's kind of coming from a place of weakness and that it's supposed to be distressed, it may be one of the bits of feedback is that it should be a bit more distressed.
Okay.
But it's obviously something that he's gone back and looked at the photographs of the actual Alice.
Oh, yeah, very much.
And then he has modeled this dress based on that one. So,
yeah,
I
looking
wonder
in the chat, people loving everything they've seen so far. Although somebody did say reduce the collars.
I'm not sure they mean these collars.
I think they did mean these collars.
I see. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting small bit of feedback. But I was just thinking, I wonder if in that era where they took this photo, and this photo, of course, at that time was probably at the height of technological achievement in terms of a camera and film. Do you think they could ever have imagined that photo would have been, put onto a computer, re-illustrated in a thing called Photoshop, brought up and broadcast around the world via YouTube? And I mean,
it's mad to think of stuff like this. Like, what could the future hold? I mean, we think we're pretty advanced with everything that's going on now, but who knows? Well,
someday some kid somewhere may be watching all of this on his Nintendo butt jack, so you just don't know. But
Lucas Severin super chat says, thank you very much.
Thank you, Lucas.
Saying that this is that one hot Asian chick's last stream. We noticed. I get this super chat for her. She will be missed. She was my first live chat friend, and I will miss you.
Very sweet. Thank you, Lucas. That's a very nice sentiment.
It is. But,
we do see.
I'm sure she'll be back and she'll be watching the recorded streams.
This is true.
I hope.
But we do see a whole very wonderful community growing up around this, the live streams, and also, of course, the community that we have over on Patreon. And as I've said in one of the posts this week, there are days where I wake up and I just feel like super lucky, just really happy. Because it's the same kind of feeling that you get, like I've had in the past when we've built a team from scratch and it all starts to kind of come together and gel. Except we're getting that plus the interaction of the fans, of the supporters, in a way that they have become a part of the team, and so it's just magnified the kind of awe and the feeling, the positive feeling of creating stuff.
I think so. We are very lucky. I mean, in this day and age on the internet, you never know if there's going to be some internet nonsense.
This is true.
We have really just been bathed in positivity from everyone.
Well, knock on wood. We have thus far avoided internet nonsense.
Yes.
So this is a dress that no one has seen. Even we hadn't seen it until about 10 minutes ago.
It is a new one to us.
It's one of the other things that's quite fun about what we're doing is Omri. You guys know Martin and I are in Shanghai, and it is 9 o'clock in the morning here. Omri is in Israel, and so I think for him it's going to be going on a bit late at the moment. It's probably midnight or so.
Probably.
So he will oftentimes be working while we're sleeping, and then we wake up and there's Omri.
Yeah.
And so,
even though he doesn't watch the streams live, we know he watches the streams.
Right.
So, hi, Omri.
So Omri sent along this. This is meant to be the dress she's wearing when she goes to confront the Jabberwock. Now, we've talked before about the Jabberwock being a sort of false goal, and we heard a lot of the feedback people had about the bargaining suit. And so the demand was, don't lose the bargaining suit just because we're doing, not squirrel hands, damn it, the pleading dress, right? So he said, all right, well, we'll try to save that concept, but we'll use it somewhere else. And so that's what this is. And he'd written in his email that this is a more masculine form for her, and it's the form she takes on, believing that she's powered herself up and ready for battle against the Jabberwock, and then we discover that, wait a second, that was not the real goal.
Right. And as it says over on the right there, this is just to get general feedback from everyone, so yeah, light it up in the comments.
Yeah, and we'll post this over on Patreon as well. But I mean, he's done a couple of interesting things here. So he's put sort of like space in her hair, so sort of stars, and this sort of scarf that's got stars in the galaxy in it. And I can imagine something like this being worn, with an active effect of sort of the stars in her hair. Maybe we see stars shooting off of her head. We see active textures on the clothing here. So could do some things visually with this type of dress that would be quite cool. He has, of course, taken this, in the Jabberwock world, he's linked it up with metal and Jupiter. And so, again, this goes back to the sheet we shared some weeks ago that linked up the planets that we'll find in the universe of Wonderland, the solar system of Wonderland, along with the alchemical, the elements, and the houses. So like in the tarot card sense, so that's trying to pull all that stuff together.
Does like space and stuff, is that linked with the Jabberwock? Where's he getting space from?
Well, if you look at that sheet, and I don't have it where I can pull it up very easily here, but if you look at the spreadsheet that he's working from that I sent to him, each one of the stages is linked to a particular planet, and that stage is linked to Jupiter, and Jupiter is the king of planets. And so I think what he's decided to do is pull together an entire theme of sort of space and king of planets.
Okay, that's where he got it from. Oh, this is a new one. K-Jest Games. Okay, super chats. Could Alice have access to dress or skin of her Madness Return counterpart? I know there was a dress in one trailer that was absent in-game.
I'm not really sure what that's referring to, but, if you are on Patreon with us, then you could post up that image or a link to that image that you're referring to. I think it would be a little bit strange for Alice in Asylum to anyway reference forward to something in Madness Returns, because Asylum is now in the canon. Asylum is going to be the first chapter in the story. American McGee's Alice is the second chapter, and Madness Returns is the third chapter. So having this very young 13-year-old Alice in any way aware of what she's going to be wearing or looking like when she's 23, I think is the age she is in Madness Returns. I might be off a little bit. That would be a little strange. But thank you for the super chat. And
so the answer is probably not.
Probably not. But if I've got that in any way wrong, then like I said, feel free to come over to Patreon and leave a comment.
Ashley Lunt gives us a quick super chat. Marilyn Manson is my celeb crush. You've met him?
Hey, Ashley, thank you for the super chat. Yes, I have spent some time with Manson. Actually, one of the reasons why I have Lulu, a Boston Terrier, is because Manson had 2 little Boston Terriers at his home in LA. And we met back when I was working with 9 Inch Nails on sound effects and music for the Quake games. Speaking of which, I'm going to Bangkok, tomorrow night, and we're going to go see 9 Inch Nails play in Bangkok. So I'll be able to see Trent again for the first time in 20 years. Long time. Yeah.
Hobnobbing with the stars.
Just jet setting and flying off to Bangkok for one night in Bangkok. So this piece of artwork comes to us from Joey. This actually came through maybe a week ago, 2 weeks ago, but I neglected to share it during the stream, I think.
Maybe.
So
let's show it again anyway.
I thought I'd bring it up. Because I really like it. I like the idea of us doing MC Escher type levels, and this one. No, we did talk about this because I talked about Ken and how he did Monument Valley. Okay,
and I talked about my MC Escher jigsaw.
Yeah, okay. I clearly.
But maybe we just showed a rough draft.
Maybe I think I've got brain worms. Okay, we are not yet at prize time. I thought we were getting there. No, but we do have, next up here, we were going to talk a little bit about the Chaos Coin stuff, because we did get artwork from Alex, which we had not shared before.
Yes.
All right, so Alex...
Just saying, where's the Chaos Coin gone from the desk?
It's, I think, over there getting photos taken or something like that.
Yes, it is.
So yeah, for those of you who don't know, we are making coins, a chaos coin to be specific, and we did get these really cool collector's boxes done, and then Alex sent along this artwork. And if you've ever bought anything from Mysterious, this is common to find that we put collector cards in with those items, and this is the collector card for the chaos coin, front and back.
The weird text has been fixed, hasn't it?
Yeah, this font used to be a little strange. So
I love fonts.
You are font lord.
But I mean, it was the text on this image.
This was skewed.
It was
a bit
a
sideways.
wonky angle, wasn't it?
It really was, yeah. So
but this is just kind of an example of the not crowdsourced design, but lots of people didn't like the wonkiness, so we changed it.
That's right, and then we have to go off and have 3,000 of these printed.
We do, yeah.
And then these cards will be stuck in with this box, and so when you get a chaos coin, it will come in a holder, and with this box and with that card, and then of course it'll grant you your name in Asylum in the game.
Yep. So what's in there? We have a holding unit for the coin, a little footstool, and a velvet bag.
It's quite nice.
Yeah. It's a nice little box of stuff.
Yes. So yeah, Alex did send that along, and I think this is the final version of the collector card, and we'll have those printed, and then by the time I get back from Thailand, that'll all be able to go together. So if you have already either ordered a Chaos coin from Mysterious, or you're a patron waiting for that goal to unlock, then you should know that we're getting quite close to being ready to send that stuff out to the world.
Thailand?
What are we?
Or Bangkok?
Bangkok is in Thailand, Martin.
Yeah, okay.
You know that, right?
Thailand is in Bangkok.
Bangkok is in Thailand. Did I say Thailand is in Bangkok? Well, they're both. Yeah. There's probably a person named Thailand in Bangkok.
Maybe.
Just like there's soon going to be an American in Bangkok in Thailand.
Yeah.
But when I do get back from that trip, we will be able to stick together all these pieces. And for those who don't quite get what we're talking about when it comes to Chaos coins and whatnot, there is a bit of information about that over on the Patreon page. There's actually an entire post that talks about the Chaos coin being our next goal on Patreon. So once we hit 2,000 patrons, we are going to unlock this as a reward. And so yeah, there's a bunch of info over there. We're currently at what number?
It's like 1,805 or something.
So less than 200 patrons to go.
Fingers crossed.
Yes.
We can do it this month.
Well, and for those of you on the mailing list, I'm going to ask for your forgiveness right now, because I do plan to send out at least 1 or 2 more mailings to that 40,000 person mailing list, because if we only got 1% of the people on the mailing list to throw like $1 at the Patreon for the month, it would unlock that goal, and then we can move on to new goals,
other stuff. But in the meantime, Eric Dodds super chat says, thank you very much. What do you think is the secret within Alice books?
Don't know.
Is there a secret?
Well, I mean, there's multiple different ways. So first off, thank you, Eric, for the £10. It's very much appreciated.
Euros.
Oh, sorry, euros. Ooh, that's a kind of like cultural faux pas there, especially for Brits. A lot of Brits hate being confused with Europeans. Anyway, so the response to that is that I think, as many people know, the Wonderland books can be interpreted in many different ways. In fact, one of the sort of popular deconstructions of it is that it's actually a political treatise. It is meant to be a send-up of the politicians of that era, and that the characters in the books are analogous to characters in the political arena at the time when Lewis Carroll was alive. But, a lot of people also think, well, it's just a good bit of fun and nonsense. So hard to say. But as far as the reading of what the secret is, I don't know. And I mean, you can spend all day guessing on this. I've gone and done talks with the Lewis Carroll Society. I've met people who make it their business to research and talk about and discuss all of the possible meanings and permutations of the books. I've never really, even though I make games based on the book, I don't consider myself to be like a scholar of the books, nor do I consider myself to be someone who knows very much about Lewis Carroll. And of course, this has come up several times. I just don't find that it helps add much to what we're doing with the property. And I know that some people think that sounds strange, but that's just how I approach it.
There you go.
There you go.
There you go, Eric.
Right. So back to art review. Now, our good friend Ray Weatherford already asked a question about whether or not, sort of collecting shards and forming them. This was the image I showed from Patreon when he asked that question, but this is it raw. This is what Alex Crowley sent along to illustrate his idea. And so he's done pieces that break up and then reform. And of course, what he's suggested here is that actually, like, if you did combo strikes, that then that would actually serve to break the weapon up, and then in the series of combo strikes, it could reform on the next strike.
I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it could sort of rock, paper, scissor, right? It's like rock, 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 scissor, scissor, and then into something else. Yeah. So that's the idea he's come up with. I think it's kind of an interesting one.
But as you said earlier, there was a comment like, would a little girl wield a scythe?
Well, this is a fairly long series of back and forths in the comments over on Patreon between some of our patrons, when the basic question was raised of whether or not it's valid that a little girl would wield a scythe. I think the comment was made that scythes are by and large unwieldy and that they're very difficult to pick up and use properly. And so I read a question like it and I think we're in Wonderland.
She would have been aware of scythes as a thing.
Well, it's not the question of whether or not she's aware of a scythe, but we had this patron, Salah. He mentioned, well, he had a question: should the blade be dark? And sure, I mean, we'll see what the art director ends up doing. But I think that right now we're just doing sort of concept art for the general idea. But he said, side note: kids can't hold scythes. This is an interjection of reality into a place where... So my response would be, shards don't exist.
And people can't double jump.
Then let's just go home. What are we doing here? I mean, we're not trying to make something realistic, obviously. We're trying to make something fun and interesting. So
Alice in normal land.
Alice in normal land. Obey the laws of physics, goddammit. So yeah, I found that back and forth to be a little humorous. But yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, so back to this. He did mention also that these shards could come together into something like a shield, can be defensive. So I think this is a really good, sort of jumping off point for some of what her weapons could be. Now, of course, if you have been following along over on Patreon, that's what I forgot to put into our art review. We didn't put all the beautiful weapons. And we didn't do those last week.
Well, we can go to the webpage.
By the way, Martin, I can double jump.
Can you? Or are you just talking about that thing that was doing the rounds about 6 months ago, where that cheerleader stepped on an invisible box?
Oh yeah, I haven't seen that one. That sounds good. That sounds very good. So here is... I'm just going to go to... trying to get over to Patreon to load up this post that's got all the weapons in it. So here we go. You can see these in full. Actually, this post has now unlocked to the public. So if you are not a patron, you can still go over there and check these out. But yeah, this is the Jack Bomb. Now, we had a lot of people. I even had one person comment and say, what's Call of Duty going to think about that?
The Jack Bomb.
And I think that the meaning was that there's a Jack Bomb weapon somewhere in Call of Duty. And I wanted to write back in the comments and be like, look, we had this in Alice back in 1999. I'm pretty sure that, I don't even know if Call of Duty existed at that point, but certainly not with a Jack Bomb in it. But the point is, no, the Jack Bomb's not original, nor is Alice in Wonderland, nor is having a knife as a weapon. I mean, none of this is particularly original. I'm not sure I get those comments sometimes. It just doesn't... It feels like, okay... and what I wanted to write to some of these people is like, okay, Captain Obvious. But being that we're public figures and we're trying to do this sort of crowd-sourced design and feedback loop, then you feel like, well, I can't say that.
Gotta be nice. Let's do this super chat, and then we're a bit late on prize giving.
Oh no!
Oh no!
We've gone over.
Alice on Elm Street is back again, one of our regulars. Thanks for the super chat. Make the scythe childlike in some way. Add a bow or something a little girl might do.
There you go.
It's possible. I don't. If the scythe looks all like onyx and viscous and black, a bow might look weird.
I agree. But it's also one of those things that you hear people often rail against, what you might call like a feminine signifier. So, just sort of like you've got Pac-Man and then you put a bow on its head and it's Miss Pac-Man. And there are people in the world who are offended by that kind of thing. So we need to be careful. But as Martin mentioned, it is, in fact, prize time. Now, I'm going to let you decide. Are we giving away squirrel fingers on the first?
Of course not.
I see.
No, it's patches for this one.
So you're gonna show them the patches there in the webcam. Patch cam. Ooh. All right, so we're going to give away a set of embroidered patches, but I would like to know, you have to fill up the chat in order for Nightbot to see you. So if you could have any other kind of animal fingers, what would it be? Obviously, we've got squirrel fingers, but if you could choose another type of animal to stick your fingers in, that sounds wrong. Anyway, if you could...
Tell us what animal you would like to stick your fingers in.
It's terrible. I hope no one says Lulu, because she would bite you.
They did have pug fingers, didn't they?
They had pug fingers. They had unicorn fingers and
horse fingers.
There was horse. I hear you. Never mind. I'm going to leave the horse joke alone about you and your fingers. And yeah, but anyway, squirrel fingers, I felt were not only they were available. Obviously, we're giving them away. But they were also, this picture is it's incredibly funny. Like, can you imagine the person that goes down to the park with it's like, hey, mom, dad, I'm going out. And then the mom and dad are like, she's going out to play with squirrel fingers again.
Stand next to a tree for 10 minutes and walk up and down it with your fingers.
What do you think? So what do you think the actual squirrels think when they see this? I mean, can you imagine, like, if space aliens landed on the planet and they went around and chopped our arms and legs and heads off, and then they stuck our arms and legs and heads on their fingers, and then went around driving cars and being like, ooh, look, I'm a human.
Human fingers.
We would be fucking terrified. And so the squirrels in the park where this girl, I'm assuming, I'm gendering that hand, but this person's going around to the park, and I mean, that literally is like the most awful thing a squirrel could see. You'd come back, your little baby squirrels would come back just like scarred for life.
I did see somebody say fish fingers.
But fish don't have feet.
But do you not have fish fingers in America?
Ah, that's cute. I get it. Yeah. I understand now. That's a good one. Okay, we do have a bunch of people here in the chat eligible according to Nightbot. So here we go. 3, 2, 1. Lucas Severin.
Yeah.
You know, Nightbot seems to have a...
It does like the regulars.
It likes the regulars. Well, Lucas, congratulations. You have won your very own embroidered patch set.
I'm going to check my list to see if Lucas won.
I feel like we get confused about who wins and who doesn't, but anyway. So, back to art review. Congratulations. Oh, Lucas, you need to do the thing. mysterious@americanmcgee.com. Send along your name, mailing address, your phone number, and be sure to mention what you've won, because even though we write it down, it helps me when I'm making the labels.
Yeah, so you can't just claim you won squirrel fingers.
Well, he didn't. He won the patches.
I know. That's what I'm saying. He can't claim it in the email.
I see. Yeah, well, he seems kind of sneaky like that. You never know. You never know what Lucas is going to get up to.
You never know.
All right, so this was another bit of art that Alex sent along to illustrate his... Now, he mentioned that in God of War, they actually have a weapon called the Chaos Blade.
That is his big, long, fiery blades on the end of chain weapon.
Ooh, okay.
He's got, well, the one he's well known for in all the other games.
Well, it's one of the reasons why he said we could call this the Chaos Blade, but perhaps we shan't because it's taken. So there you go.
Oh, Lucas super chats to tell us that he already has patches. Roll again.
Wow, Lucas.
Could get a second set of patches.
What a nice guy. If you really want us to roll again, yeah, he said it. He paid us money for it, so I'm going to do it.
All right, I'll scribble that out.
So Cheryl Garrett Photography, you have just won Lucas Severin's second-hand patches.
We did a cosplay recently that Cheryl took the picture of,
wow.
I believe.
Very cool. Well,
yeah.
Congratulations, Cheryl. You have benefited not only from Nightbot, but also the kindness of Lucas Severin. So Taylor Gone sends along a super chat that says, hey, thanks for rubbing that junk, guys. I nailed the interview and got the job. Wow.
Woo!
There you go.
Excellent. Rubbing the junk is indeed lucky.
Greg's lucky junk. You never know. So anyway, Cheryl, if you could please, mysterious@americanmcgee.com and send your phone number, mailing address, and mention what you've won. All those pieces, please fill in correctly so I don't have to look up where you live on Google Maps, because that's annoying.
If you don't do it right, you don't get the prize.
That's what Martin said.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're back to Alex's wonderful artwork. He also sent along a variation on that showing Alice swiping. I think that's Joey's art, is it not?
I think it probably is.
So, turned out very cool, though. But I like this. And I think as a collectible, this would be pretty cool.
But there's no possible way that we could mail this around the world.
So I think when we ran into this problem in the past, what I mentioned was we may not have had the correct export license.
Oh, yes, somebody mentioned, didn't there? There are shipping companies that have these licenses.
Correct.
For replica weapon shipping.
That is correct.
Right.
But if you imagine this made out of a, onyx-like black plastic with a filler of clear plastic and some little LED lights inside, you could actually have this with a button where it lights up.
Yeah, make a pretty good replica.
Be pretty cool.
Quite pointy, though. Got to be careful.
It's got pointies all over it. You'll definitely put an eye out. I don't recommend that would be something that a kid should be playing with. But then again, it's a toy from an M-rated game,
I guess.
I don't know. Well, anyway, speaking of things that are confusing because it looks like they're made for kids, Jennifer has sent along a whole new series of ideas for embroidered patches.
They are fantastic.
They're really cool.
As is everything Jennifer does.
She does do a pretty good job. I'm very happy that we have her on the team. Happy that we have them all on the team. But as you can see, they all have very specific and definite skills. And Jennifer did help us to design this, which is the original patch set. That's what we just gave away as a prize. You can get over at Mysterious, but at one point we actually gave these away to our patrons.
We did. It was a pretty low goal as well, wasn't it? Not in terms of numbers required.
We got there pretty
pledge
fast.
level as well.
Yeah, you only had to be pledged
$5.
Well, I think we'll do that again. So when we do patch set 2, it'll be at like $5, and we're gonna miss that.
We missed that.
She said, how about a chaotic blade instead of a chaos blade?
Still potentially
that was
too close.
Christine Phillips, and thank you very
Christine.
much, Christine, for the $2 and the suggestion. Well, here's the thing. When it comes to these names, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter if we have a Jackbox and another game has a Jackbox. It doesn't matter if we've got a Chaos Blade and another game has a Chaos Blade, so long as we're clearly not sort of making a full-on God of War or Call of Duty copy. You just can't avoid these things.
There are only a certain amount of words.
All cars have doors. You can't be like, hey, wait a second, Volkswagen has doors. Ford can't have doors.
Taylor Goen, back again with the super chats. I love the card guard. He's so cute. I want a plush.
He's very cute.
A card guard plush.
I really like the idea of plush toys, and we need to go and find a way to get them made. And so it is something that is on our list. But yeah, these are two of the new designs that Jennifer came up with. One is a flaming bloody flamingo, and it's got one of her signature hedgehogs hiding in the background.
In one of the comments that I've put on my little Word doc of questions, somebody called this the Flamingo.
I did put out a question to our audience to what you would name the flaming flamingo, or just the flamingo weapon in general.
Right.
And so
Flamingo.
That was
you're not going to beat that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was a pretty good name, Flamingo, though that was in reference to this image, and this flamingo is not flaming.
Doesn't appear to be flaming.
No, it's not.
Ninja Friday, super chatting. Both God of War and Dark Souls both have a Chaos Blade. I'd say just go for it. Sounds awesome.
Yeah, I mean, this is my general feeling about these kinds of things. You can't help but have there's grenade launchers. You're not going to call them grenade launchers? At some point you're going to start stepping on words that have been used repeatedly within the genre or within games in general. So just deal with it.
Super chats are coming in thick and fast. Fictional Ain. What are you thinking on the lines of enemies? I think that was a criticism of Madness Returns, but the black goopy enemies got a bit generic and samey after a while.
Yeah, people complained about the Ruin, is what it was called. And, one of the reasons, and I've talked about this before, one of the reasons that you create a character like the Ruin is that it's easy to replicate across all of the various domains of Wonderland. We tied that into the core narrative, so the idea was that you could find it everywhere. And then we had enemies that were specific to the style of a particular area. So like the broken dolls, we kind of kept in the dollhouse area of the game. We didn't introduce those until you got there. And so I think you can rightly complain about the sort of overuse, but again, you have to keep in mind it was intentional overuse of the Ruin throughout the game. But you also, I think, need to contrast that with the fact that Alice Madness Returns had a ton of original enemies. It's just that a lot of times, like once you left the teapot cannons in the Hatter's domain, you never saw them again.
Right.
And I think to your mind, you kind of forget, like, oh, those were some pretty original monsters, and they were really interesting to fight against. But once they were gone, they were gone. So, yeah, but this is always going to be the kind of trade-off between number of enemies, amount of art, and the budget that we have.
Yes, it's how did you explain the sort of walking through a game? It's like walking through your art budget.
Correct.
Yeah. So got to balance
dollars per meter it can be measured in.
Yeah. Okay, Bethany Bevins also super chat saying they're making a cosplay of the Denial dress with fully functional moving and talking skulls. That sounds quite advanced.
That does sound advanced.
Are you an advanced cosplayer?
It's pretty cool. You do have to think, though, that there's a lot of kind of off-the-shelf technology these days by way of Arduinos and Raspberry Pis and the motor control systems that people buy as kits, and you can build all kinds of crazy stuff without a massive amount of technical knowledge. So it's very cool what people are able to do these days.
When it's done, send pictures along. We'd love to see.
That would be great.
Yeah. Emily B, super chatting. Do you guys foresee any cool armor in the makes for the game? Well, there is the armor pick that we've already put up on Patreon.
Yeah, I mean, there is that blue armor that we talked about her wearing, again, as a function of getting prepared to go to fight the Jabberwock. And so there are concepts floating around for sort of an armored dress. As far as, I don't know, I mean, it's not really built into the core concept. It's not like Alice as a game has ever been one where you've really focused on the stats of your armor and you've built it up and you've got different kinds of armor that you lug around. Obviously, we're talking a lot about dresses, and in a sense, the dresses are her armor. So I don't think beyond what we've shown, the blue knight armor, we're probably not going to go much further beyond that.
There you go. Alice on Elm Street also super chatting, just saying liked the ruin when they weren't killing her. I assume it's a her. Sorry.
Yeah, that's again, you might have misidentified her. She could identify as a dolphin, so you got to be careful.
Misgingering people.
You got to just refer to them as Jin. So yeah, the ruin, they do kill you. This is true. And as you saw when we did our playthrough, I died a lot. I died primarily from the enemies in Madness Returns. I feel like I'm dying primarily from the environment in America McGee's Alice. So interesting split there.
Okay, Ninja Friday sends $2 as a down payment for a set of Lulu fingers.
All right.
We didn't see any Boston fingers.
No, but I think I'd rather not turn Lulu into finger toys. So we're going back over to Patreon here. Again, this is the list of the weapons that Joey had done. And so this is the flamingo. Now, we did have a kind of croquet mallet type weapon in the first Alice game, and so this would be a sort of return to that. I mentioned in the comments over there, it'd be interesting to see this function, maybe sort of like an umbrella at times, where you could run and jump off a cliff, and then the wings would come out, and it would allow you to glide or fly to certain places.
A living weapon.
That'd be kind of interesting. I don't know.
I'd like it.
I mean, obviously, the concept of a living implement is in the Alice books, in the hedge maze or the croquet mallets, so, yeah.
Yeah, why not? Fictional Ain. Will the Tweedles be more involved?
Well, we have done artwork showing them as the kind of caretakers or the nurses in the Asylum. And I do believe that being in Asylum, we're going to see more of them in that role. So they might actually come and play a fairly significant role in Asylum, to be honest with you. It's something that's been in the back of my mind. Yes, we want to have them play a significant role in this new game.
Okay. And Alice on Elm Street just clarifies that she does identify as a girl. I didn't misginger her.
That's good. Don't misginger people, Martin. So on with the weapon artwork, Joey did submit, and again, this is going back to something we did have dice in the original Alice, and I doubt that Alice is the only game out there in which dice are a weapon of some sort. The function of the dice in the original Alice, I still feel, it's a bit dicey. I don't know. I mean, ultimately, I feel they were pretty crap because you'd roll them and then, was it demons? The demon dice, so the demons spawned out of them. And if there wasn't something there for them to attack, or if the thing they were attacking died, the demon would turn on you. And I think that's one of those things that when you're early in your design career, you think that's cute. People will think that's cute. I think that's funny. I think that's cute. The player is going to think that's funny and think that's cute. And you know what? The first time they see it... The
first time it was.
It was. But the 10th time, not so much.
Chuck Gerbil. Super chatting, suggesting it's called the Blade of Sorrow and the Shards of Sorrow.
Could be.
There's many a name that it could be.
Well, Chuck Gerbil, thank you for the super chat and the $5. We will spend that on some nice Lulu treats. So much appreciated.
And we hope you don't actually chuck gerbils.
Terrible, Martin.
I hope that.
So I think to your comment, though, yeah, the shards could be something related to the stages of grief. So she might actually pick up denial shards and bargaining shards and things like that, right? And then you piece those together and you get a variety of different runes and weapons and all kinds of things. Could be good.
Yeah.
So next up we have this arranged cup and whipping tops. And this is a frog, as you can see here, with his tongue.
Like that.
I really like this. And this is, I think, one of those weapons that makes a good point of being multiple in use. So obviously you could whip someone with this to do damage, but you could also bring an object that is far away closer to you. Of course, there's a mechanic. And these types of weapons we see a lot of times in like the Nintendo games, like Zelda.
The old hook shot.
The old hook shot, exactly. And then I also thought, something like this you could use as a lasso, and you could swing across an open gap, things like that.
Multifunctional. I do like a multifunctional weapon.
Well, I think as a matter of like trying to make the game as interesting and varied as possible, we should try to overload weapons with attack and function.
Mm-hmm. I think so. Super chats. Slawick382 hopes the next Alice will have as good written dialogues as Madness Returns. Alex's conversations with the Hatter were marvelous. You're the best.
Well, thank you for that super chat. And that praise needs to go directly to RJ Berg. He is my creative partner and has been for the last 20 years. When I first went to work at EA and started working on Alice, I was teamed up with him, and he is the one who's responsible for the writing of the dialogue. So whatever the characters say, he is the one that writes that. And he's also done things like direct the voiceover recording. So when we go to work with Susie Braun for the voice of Alice, or the Cheshire Cat, which is recorded by... Oh my God, I've just drawn a blank. Roger Jackson. RJ is the one that goes down to the recording studio with them, and he sits there and they read their lines and he gives them direction. So he's not just writing the dialogue, but he's also the director for the recording of the VO. And it is amazing stuff. And he and I are talking now. As you can see in some of the Patreon posts, we've actually put up sample dialogue that he's written recently by way of illustration of what the dialogue and some of the scenes in Asylum will be like.
And that's also on the wiki.
It is on the wiki.
Yeah. I did see Ray Weatherford super chatted $5.
Thank you.
No question, just have some dinner.
Yeah, well,
we will.
Thank you.
Margaritas.
Margaritas. I don't know if we're going to go for margaritas today, but for sure some Lulu treats. She's going to need a lot of Lulu treats because she will be here essentially on her own for the days that I'm gone to Thailand with Yin. So, yeah, we've got somebody coming over to take a, look in on her from time to time, but she's basically going to be alone.
She'll be fine. It's only 4 days.
Richard Meredith sends along Canadian $5. Thank you for that. Have we made any progress in getting more control of the merchandising rights? There is a general progress being made towards working on using the rights for the game, the merchandise, so all those things are linked up. The last step, the last thing that we communicated to you guys is that we sent the license proposal off to EA with a bunch of collectible physical stuff, and they are now in the process of reviewing that, so we're waiting. But this is the way of this type of thing. In my experience in the world of games, movies, music videos, books, it's a lot of hurry up and wait.
So yeah, kind of sucks, but it's the way it is.
So I don't view it as sucking, because what I view it as is our ability to continue doing art and story and design, pre-production, extended, while they make up their minds as to the shape of this thing. So I think we just...
maybe like a fan point of view, it's just more waiting for more Alice.
Well, but they're not waiting. They're here with us right now, helping to design the next game. So I don't know. I obviously have a cup half full view of this, and it's also coming out of the fact that you can't make the waiting go any faster.
You can't.
Yep. This is yet another weapon design idea from Joey, and this is, what would you call this? She's called it the Spring Fist.
It seems pretty accurate. fist gun, something.
Right. I mentioned in my post over on Patreon that I've always been a little uncomfortable with the idea of Alice carrying something that looks anything really like a gun. And, it made me think, like, we ended up with the blunderbuss in the first game, and I was never, and like, trying to think back, how did we get there? How did we end up with a blunderbuss? And I still haven't been able to really recall, but this feels to me a bit too gun-like.
It's quite gun-like. Yeah. I don't know, it's interesting, but...
Right.
Yeah, if you don't really want it to be gunny, then it needs changing.
It does need something. And you don't... I can just see in the manual or in somebody's walkthrough, like, that you fisted the enemies, and that just feels...
Well, yes,
feels wrong.
Greg just called it the fisting gun.
Well, that is technically what it is. And so, you use this, you could fist something to death. I just think... I don't know. We need to...
it's open to abuse.
It is open to abuse. So we do need to kind of work on this concept. But before we do that, it is... What time is it, Martin?
It's 10 and 50 seconds.
Let's do it. It's contest time.
Okay.
If you did have a fisting gun, I want you to fill up the comments in preparation for winning the contest. So what would you fist to death in the world? What deserves a good fisting? Just let us know in the comments. And we're going to roll the Nightbot in a moment here.
Roll the Nightbot. I wonder if it's going to choose another regular, as it seems to be doing these days.
I don't know. I feel like Nightbot's really horribly biased. And I'm not sure how but we can't really talk to Nightbot. We can't do anything about that. So anyway, the winner of this next round is going to win a set of Asylum patches. And
Alice on Elm Street has super chatted during the spam.
I find that to be a very bizarre thing to do.
What was the question?
The question is, what if you changed it to a slinky she would throw and it would pop you and punch? But I'm assuming it would still out. But it would still have a fist on the end of it, so you'd still technically be fisting things to death. But
at least it wouldn't be a gun.
How does that make it any better?
Because you don't like guns in the game.
Well, that's true, but more than I dislike the gun, I dislike running around fisting things to death. So apparently a lot of people want to fist Trump to death. Funny thing is, he'd probably enjoy that. It seems, based on everything we've heard about him, that would be the probably favorite way that he would have to die. So
Greg's junk is making a lot of appearances.
Oh, poor
card guards, spiders, scammers,
right?
The Queen.
Why would you fist the Queen to death? That seems very bizarre.
Mosquitoes.
Now that I agree with. I totally agree with that.
All right.
So I think we've had enough fisting. Let's roll it. Isiel, Angelique.
That's definitely been recently. That
was last week.
Last week.
What's wrong with Nightbot?
Nightbot has spoken. Okay.
It's very strange, though. Anyway, Isel, Nightbot apparently loves you, and so you've won again.
Isel, Angelique, patches.
And so you need to do what you did last week, which we already have your name and address, but go ahead and do it again so I know to send you a set of patches. I think last week she won the presentation.
Junk.
Or the junk, right?
Yeah.
Yes. All right, well, there you go. Isel, please send... Yes, we know you won last week, but Nightbot apparently has a crush on you, so go nuts.
Is there any alternative to Nightbot?
You hear that, Nightbot? You're getting the boot. You're going to get... Okay, so
Just curious.
I think we know what we're fisting. We're going to fist Nightbot. Poor Nightbot.
Yeah.
Right. So let's get back to art review on Jennifer's artwork. We got to get through this stuff a little more quickly.
Yes, let's.
She did also send along new embroidered patch concepts for... This is the Cat's Cradle. and a shrinking violet. And we also have the hobby horse, and she wants to do the Latin for unbroken.
Kind of worried about how the cat's cradle would appear on the patches or the pins. It looks like quite delicate and thin.
Yeah, it's not really an issue for the. It's not an issue for the embroidered patch machines. They're kind of like robotic sewing machines. They can do fairly fine detail.
Okay. Maximiliania Benke. Have you thought about doing special streams, interviews with voice actors, RJ Berg, artists? Would be interesting to hear from them.
Yeah, we do need to try to set up some sort of like a group live stream thingy. Our biggest limitation and issue is that being here in China, our network output, our bandwidth is really limited. And this is even using a dedicated VPN box, and we're barely able to kind of make these YouTube live streams work. I really worry what trying to add additional people and voice or video into that would do to our stream. But I have heard that this is one of the beauties or benefits of using Discord, that it's very lightweight in terms of memory footprint, and it's also very lightweight in terms of the data stream that it uses to send audio back and forth. So maybe what we need to do is set up those people with Discord.
Okay.
There you go.
Alice on Elm Street didn't mean to send the super chat during the contest. It happens.
It happens. It does happen.
It's fine. We can go back and click on the messages. They don't get lost.
This was another one of the patches that Jennifer is working on for the new patch set. This is, of course, Lulu.
Lulu. Where is Lulu?
I don't know. It's too cold down here for her. This one I thought was interesting, and I kind of wrote to Jennifer and I said, I don't know about it because I'm not like the biggest beer drinker or beer fan in the world. But she had this idea that one of the patches would basically be kind of advertisery, and it would be the mock turtle displaying a mug of ale.
Yeah, I quite like this one. The beer patch. Is the mock turtle well known for drinking beer?
This is a question you'd have to ask Jennifer. I'm not exactly sure where she got the inspiration for this idea, but then I know there are a lot of people out there. Obviously, beer is fairly popular, but I think that him as a kind of caricature of a beer advertisement is cute. So,
well, Jennifer is in the chat, or at least she was. Let us know. Where did the idea for this one come from?
Yeah, that'd be good. But, more important is those of you checking this out, let us know in the comments, do you want a mock turtle ale patch as a part of the next embroidered patch set? For me, I want like 1,000 of these Lulu patches, and then I'm gonna sew an embroidered t-shirt out of them. And then I'm just going to walk around wearing a Lulu patch t-shirt.
I think that would be good. A Lulu t-shirt or a Lulu coat.
And I know a lot of people have mentioned pins. They want to see enamel pins. We do need to look into factories that can do that. And this, I think, would make a fantastic enamel pin. So,
yeah.
This is the large version of the thing you were worried about, the delicate details in.
Yes.
I think that kind of thing we leave to the factory. The factory can come back and say, yeah, that works, or no, it doesn't.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the other patch sets. I guess they can do reasonably good detail on those.
They can.
Yeah. Okay.
And these two are more like the kind of semi-final vector art versions of what would be two patches in the new set. Now, obviously, what she's done here, this is... I think she's going for the denial dress, because that's one of the only yellow dresses we have. Yeah.
Yes.
And of course, it's on fire in the background, and then she's got her big knife. I think this is super cute. And
that's a brilliant one. That may be my favorite.
I don't know if I'd call it my favorite, but I think it's really damn good. It is really, really good.
Timothy J. Mio. Hi guys, just wanted to scroll past. Let's go back to that. Say thanks for the Alice series. Really inspired me aesthetically and creatively. Huge fan of the way you're approaching Alice Asylum. Love you both.
Well, thank you.
Love you back.
Timothy, we do indeed love you back. That $15 will buy a lot of Lulu treats, and I'm very glad to hear that we've inspired you. That is a big part of why we are doing what we're doing and involving all of you in the process.
Yeah.
We get that quite often, that people write and say they went into games or into art or into storytelling some years ago because the Alice games inspired them to do so, and that's a fantastic thing to hear.
Like I said at the beginning of the stream, we seem to be lucky to just have like a really good group of fans. There's a lot of positivity around and no kind of asshats.
Martin, stop saying that. You're gonna attract the asshats.
Oh, hang on. Touch wood.
That is the old saying of the best way to hear the gods laugh is to state your plans or your feelings out loud.
It's okay. I touched wood.
Stop touching your wood here.
Can't help it.
So this brings us back round to the Flamingo and the little card guard. Now, this card guard, there's something about his stance that comes off. I mean, obviously, she's done this on purpose. He's got a kind of, what do I care? I'm cute. This is fine. And it to me, it's a bit off-putting. It doesn't feel like our card guards, but then again, she's thrown a hedgehog in here behind the flamingo. And what is your feeling on this? His stance.
I like it. Yeah, it's a bit sort of cute and chibi, but that's Jennifer's style. I think it looks great.
I think it looks great. I think the question I have is this proper, interpretation of characters that are generally pretty evil in the game?
Right.
That's it. Just right.
That's it. Yeah.
I don't know. Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's all right. I just I kind of feel like it's a bit out of line, the cuteness with him for some reason. I don't know. I like the cuteness with a lot of the other characters, but with this one in particular, it just feels strange. I think it has to do with his stance more than he's cute. It's just like he's got this whatever, Who knows? I mean, it's just me.
Cheryl Garrett Photography Super Tats just wants to hear her name again.
It's a very strange last name. Do people call you Miss Photography or Mrs. Is there a Mr. Photography in your life?
Who knows?
Yeah, but anyway, Cheryl Garrett Photography. It's nice to have you there, and you're welcome to hear your name. As many times as you want to send a super chat. We could just turn this into one long stream of your name over and over again.
Ray Weatherford super chats again. I'm just looking. Oh. We need a Pickle Wolf patch.
This is a good point. We did have a Pickle Wolf at one point, and he was pretty damn cool.
I'm going to sneeze. No.
So another thing that we shared, and I think we need to get... this is that armor. So someone had asked about whether or not we were going to have Alice in armor in the new game, and this is the Royal Blue Knight image. So this is going to be this will be in the game, and this is probably the only set of armor that Alice would have.
This is available to the public by now, won't it be? It was posted a while ago.
Yeah, this is unlocked for sure.
Taylor Goen super chats saying he's the Moon of card guards.
There you go.
What's up? What's Moon?
That was reference to, I believe, a dog that was what was that? I remember it was some meme, and so they were supposed to be like really like werewolves or evil dogs or something, and then one of them is essentially got mental problems for being too cute. It's a husky, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
And so if you go and look at the meme, it's this. This is Moon.
Okay, some sort of husky dog.
Well, they're supposed to be like super, like vicious, bitey, but Moon is the one who's a bit of a spaz. So,
okay.
Yeah, there you go. That's Moon.
Fair enough.
And so that would be the Moon of the card guards. Makes sense. Right. There you go. Right, so we're going to get back to art review.
More art.
Now, this was something I put up on the post, I think it was yesterday, These are actually the keys from Madness Returns. If you played Madness Returns, you'll know that as Alice progressed through the game, she picked up these keys as she sort of unlocked the mental doors to the different memories of what happened in the past. And I've had a lot of people write and request that we do something with these. And of course, we do sell over on Mysterious lots and lots and lots of the Omega necklace. I think that's actually one of the best-selling things on the website.
The Omega necklace. It is, isn't it?
It sells a lot, and so if you wanted to wear the Omega necklace, you could go over there and buy it. It's like this. So we've had a lot of people write in and say, I like the Omega necklace, but I want the keys. And so I did up the keys in Illustrator, and then I cut them on the laser cutter that we have here. And now we're talking about making these in stainless steel. And I did ask on Patreon people to comment on whether they'd want these to be matte or shiny in texture. And also on just sort of like if we did a set of these in a box with a logo and a bag and all that kind of good stuff, and then what would be the price point people would be willing to pay for them. So
there is a SurveyMonkey link to this, isn't there, on Patreon?
There is. And if you're not a patron, you could wait a few days and that'll unlock, and then you could answer the questions on that survey.
Yeah. The Nerdiest Girl. Thank you for the super chat. What do you think about a Cheshire Kitten pet? Give Lulu a pet for me.
Yeah, the Cheshire Kitten turned out very cute, and I think that would actually make a very good patch. So since Jennifer is here in the chat, you could, well, she'll hear that. And there you go, Jennifer. People would like a Cheshire Kitten patch.
And we'll pet Lulu the next time we see her.
This is true.
Wherever the hell she's gone to.
We could do that. Yeah, so I did put this picture aside. This is all of the presentations that we boxed up to send out to people who bought one.
The license proposals that we sent to EA.
But this was a lot. This was like, I think we moved like 180 or something of them.
Something. It was at least 150. And
today we have to do what, Martin?
Posters.
How many posters?
It was in the region of 80.
So this is the image for this month's art that's been printed?
Yes, this one was for the people who got charged at the beginning of August.
Right.
So yes, all of those patrons at the high level will get this signed by Mr. McGee and sent off around the world.
Yeah, someone wrote in and said they were confused about how those tiers worked. And like, there's a way that if you pay like $35 a month, then every 3 months you get to choose an art print. And you actually can go over to Mysterious and see all the art prints. And that one's in the shop now. So you can just go buy it directly. You can be a patron. And then every month we choose a new art print. Or you could do the 3 months at $35, and at the end of your third month, you're allowed to choose any of the previously released art prints.
There is a filter for that, isn't there?
There is.
So, anyway.
But my whole point in bringing this up was that we have a lot of packaging to do today. Signing and packaging.
Yeah, we'll get through it. We always do.
It's going to be crazy.
Who was that? Click that. Cheryl Garrett Photography again. Hello. You should limited edition and number the necklaces.
We do that, and that is the way that a lot of the Mysterious products go out. They're signed, they're numbered, and they are done in limited editions. In that case, we're talking about making 300 sets, because that's kind of where the manufacturing costs and the mold making and all that stuff kind of starts to make sense. And so, yeah, I think we'll make 300 of those sets. So each set has 5 pendants inside. And then we'll put those up for sale on Mysterious with like a collector card and all that kind of good stuff. Yeah. Crazy times. All right. I'm pretty sure that brings us to the end of art review.
That's next month's poster, isn't it?
That is going to be the poster.
People who are charged at the beginning of September will be getting that.
That is correct. That is an amazing poster by the amazing Alex Crowley. He has been doing phenomenal artwork for us. And last time round, he did all of the art layout stuff for Out of the Woods, which turned out fantastic. And these days, the poster work that he's doing for Asylum, it's just killing it.
It's got a lot of comments. Although, when I was going to say this, it's on my little Word document that I made. Lots of comments about, should he look so evil?
Of course he should look so evil. What Wonderland do you think we're going into? We're not going into the Tim Burton version of Wonderland.
Thank God.
Well, speaking of Tim Burton, it is that time in the podcast where we need to shout out to our sponsor.
Yeah, Freaky Fandoms. As you say, they're one of our sponsors. They've been with us for many a year supporting the stuff we do, and they have a podcast where they talk about all your favorite cult movies and musics and whatnot. The latest one, they are discussing Tim Burton. If that's your cup of tea, you can... Where do we point? That way. It's probably a link under the video.
Well, there is a link in the description below. I think that's the phrase you're looking for, Martin.
I was also trying to point in the correct direction.
That's not always easy to do.
It's not.
But Andrew and Deborah Hawkins are the people behind Freaky Fandoms. And as Martin said, they have been longtime supporters of the work that I do, going back years. And it is important that you support them because they are supporting us. So if you can't find your way to our Patreon or want to support their Patreon but not able to support ours or any of that kind of confusion, one way or another, you can support them. That'll support us. You can support us, and we're trying to support them.
It's very harmonious. The circle of life.
It's supportception.
Yeah.
Yes. All right.
I'm going to do something that you hate. I need to dash away for a couple of minutes.
Alrighty. Well, as Martin dashes away for a couple minutes, I am going to begin to jump into playing the game. I'm a bit confused about the game because the last time that we were here, I seem to recall that I'd passed all this, and yet I'm still here. I have no idea what happened to my save game, but now we have a super chat coming in from Ray, and Martin's gone. Look, no Martin, sad. But Ray, thank you for the super chat. He says, in case you missed it, make the keys into a charm bracelet. Ray, that is an excellent idea. The only issue is that the keys, as currently designed, are going to be 50 centimeters. I'm sorry, not 50. That'd be massive. They're going to be 50 millimeters tall and 3 millimeters thick. And so as a charm bracelet, that would be quite big. It'd be something I think most people would not want to try to wear on their wrist. Yeah, I don't know that this time round it can be a charm bracelet. And you have to keep in mind that each and every time we build product like this, it takes quite a lot by way of design, and then we have to invest in the manufacturing. And manufacturing can be, just the upfront costs can be really expensive to have to make the molds and to build all the boxes and the bags and all the logo stuff. It's quite an investment. So this is one of the reasons why with that necklace set, it's actually been up on Mysterious for a pretty long time, gathering interest. People are clicking on that page saying that they are interested in buying that. And I waited until we had about 200 people who said, I'm interested in buying that before I decided that, okay, we're going to go ahead and make this. Because if we launched a product like that and it failed, it would be financially painful. And being that we're a very small little studio, we can't afford that kind of pain. So there you go. I love the idea of a charm bracelet, though. It's just a question of how much stuff we can make, how quickly, and sort of what we choose to take those kinds of risks on. So we have another super chat here from Priscilla Nasoma. Thank you very much, Priscilla. She sends along R. Is that South African Rand by chance, I wonder? But she sends along 10R, and she says, I miss Martin already. Aw, that's very sweet. Those of you who saw the patron post of this week will know that I gave Martin a special shout out for all of the hard work that he does. A lot of that takes place behind the scenes, and it is a thankless, lonely task that Martin has, keeping track of all of your comments and all of the emails that come in. While I'm doing art and story and design stuff, he is the one that is managing our ever-growing community. And if it weren't for him doing that, it would be absolutely impossible for me to handle what he's doing and doing the creative stuff. And so I think I would go absolutely insane. All that being said, Martin is terrible with fonts. And I think he knows that. And I think everyone in the chat knows that as well. Speaking of Martin, now that I've just said how terrible he is with fonts, he's back.
What did I miss?
I was just saying horrible things about you behind your back.
What's new? Here we go.
Welcome back, Martin. You know, you did
back.
actually get a super chat where people said that they missed you already. Yes.
That's very kind. So you dealt with the super chat, did you?
I did, in fact.
Well done.
Yeah.
I guess while you're playing then, I should open this Word doc.
Yes.
I've extracted some comments and such from our Patreon, so I don't just have to scroll through it. And, well, it was getting to be a bit of an effort. Not in specifically a bad way, but there was just a lot to scroll through. So yes, last night I extracted some stuff into a Word doc that I can just read out.
We were actually getting complaints. People were complaining that reading the comments or finding the comments to read was distracting from the experience.
It was. It wasn't particularly streamlined, was it?
Wasn't stream friendly.
No. Apparently I'm missing 3 fonts. Oh no.
That's funny coming from the font lord.
Yeah, that shouldn't be happening with me.
No, it shouldn't. That's sort of like Star-Lord missing his spaceship.
Well, here, Greg.
I've died.
What?
I died.
Greg says, well, he agrees. As for the Patreon comments, the more I think about it, the more of an issue it's clearly getting to be. Yeah, when we first started, we didn't have that many comments to go through, did we? It was just like a dozen or so. But yeah, now with 3 or 4 posts per week and probably going on for like 50, 60 comments on each post, it was getting a bit unwieldy. So, yeah, we had to do something about that. Greg agrees.
So the nerdiest girl sends a $10 super chat. Thank you for that. And says, one thing that's been on my mind for a while is Alice's hair. Is it going to be as flowy? Is that a word?
It is now.
It is now. It's a good word. I like that. Is it going to be as flowy, dependent on her hairstyle? Of course. The answer to that question, first of all, requires that we give a shout out to a guy that worked on the original, I should say on Madness Returns, whose name is Milo Yip, and he is now down in Hong Kong. I think he works for Tencent these days. But Milo is the guy, the engineer, who was responsible for the hair tech. And actually, at the time that that tech was invented, it created actually quite a stir in the technical community because it was so beyond anything that had been done prior that people from NVIDIA and Intel and other places came along and said, wow. So the answer to your question, though, is yes. I think that we've now set that Alice should have amazing hair in the Alice games, and so we should expect to see more of that.
Hope so.
Cheryl Garrett Photography says, if I upgrade from the 35 to the 75, would I get an art print every month, and then every 3 months also get a chance to... Martin, do you want to answer that?
That is not how it works.
It's not how it works.
The 75 tier does not include the sort of the previous tier stuff like that. I mean, it includes like mentions and like the video credits and stuff.
And you get a Chaos necklace.
You do get a Chaos necklace, which you don't at the 35. So
and it guarantees that every month you get a art print.
Yes.
Yes.
So yes, it does not include the 35, sorry to say. Ice Killer agrees that we do need hair physics. And
you need hair physics.
How would you physicalize my hair in a video game?
Well, yours would be really cheap. I mean, that's the whole point. Maybe
you would have to zoom in pretty close to see the hair physics on my video game head representation.
This is very true.
But it would be no different than Crouton's beard.
He's got a very nice beard.
Getting nice and close
it does
and see
flow. I died again. Yeah, Crouton's beard is very nice, for sure. I need better weapons, it feels like here.
Did you figure out if you were at the right place in the game, or did it put you back somewhat?
It put me back. It definitely put me back, because when we last left me falling and dying through the game, I had already acquired this insane child. And we were told, get the insane child and then get him to whatever, the checkpoint. Exactly.
And there's only one insane child? You don't have to do this multiple times?
Let's hope not. I mean, if I do, then that's a bit of a problem. But no, I'm pretty sure that I'm still in the same hedge maze as when we were playing last week. I could be wrong.
Okay, let's see if you can get out of it.
I'm not very good at my own game, Martin, so don't embarrass me by asking questions to which I should know the answer, and I don't. And I'm dying.
Says you need to pay attention to your health. You don't seem to be doing that.
I am paying attention to my health. I just watched my health go to 0. But thanks. That's really a super helpful comment.
Sophie Buckley super chat says with £5. American McGee's Alice got me interested in coding and game design and showed me just how symbolic and artistic games could be. Madness Returns was also a joy. So thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Sophie, for the £4.99. It's very sweet of you. And I'm glad to hear, as always, that the games inspired you to learn and create. That is a large part of the reason why we do what we do.
Yeah. Seem to inspire people a lot.
I think that this must be something that, creators in general hear, whether it's writers, and you ask, why do we do the things we do in the order that we do? The question oftentimes has to do with like the initial production costs versus the demand. So if we knew for a fact that, like, say 1 million people were going to buy any of the things we're making, it would open up a lot of possibilities in terms of what we make. But when the audience is potentially quite small, like say we might sell a couple hundred, like 200 or 300 of a necklace or something, it becomes quite risky, because the initial costs on manufacturing of a necklace involves the creation of a mold and the packaging. The same goes with these embroidered pins. The minimum order for embroidered pins from a lot of these factories is in the thousands. And so even though the per unit cost may not be that high, if the factory turns around and says you have to order 10,000 of a thing, and every one of the thing in the pack is like $1, then your outlay is $10,000 to get just the basic thing done.
Well, I hope people heard a lot of that, because we just got a massive amount of comments that the stream stopped.
I saw.
But also a lot of people saying we're back now.
There you go.
Possibly delayed, possibly buffering, but we're back.
That's
it
good.
Seems.
Well, guess what we're back in time for, Martin?
Look at it.
It is
Competition time.
It's not really a competition.
Giveaway time.
I think giveaway is probably now. Are you still holding out on the squirrel?
Let's mix it up. Let's do squirrel fingers for the 3rd instead of the 4th.
So we're gonna do squirrel fingers.
Squirrel fingers.
Did you hear that, guys? Martin is accepting the idea that we do squirrel fingers for.
But we should give people a lot of time to spam now, just in case of internet problems.
Well, you have to come up with the questions. What are they spamming?
Spam. I don't know. My mind goes blank when I have to think of something like this. Why do you think I left 5 minutes ago? There's an easy one for you. Spam.
Where did Martin go when he ran away?
And did you hear Lulu woof?
I did hear that.
Yeah, she barked at me because I was running up the stairs.
What was that? I thought she barked at you because someone was at the door.
No.
Well,
she may have thought I was a bad man running up the stairs.
Well, for those of you who are spamming with wherever it is that Martin went in order to get ready for winning, you are going to win a lovely pair of squirrel fingers. And last week it was Greg's junk. For those of you joining the stream late, this is the prize. This is a set of squirrel fingers you can stick on your fingers. You can go outside, hopefully within sort of visual range of actual squirrels, and you can pretend to scurry up and down a tree. And I think you're gonna scare the nuts off of any squirrels who happen to see this.
Communicate with your squirrel brethren.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if you learned squirrel sign language.
Well, as Rick and Morty told us.
Well, it does look like OBS has reconnected.
Let's give it another couple of minutes.
Yeah, we're not really quite sure what's going on there, but,
OBS and internet.
Internet is having some farts. But we are going to roll it here. So Nightbot is going to select a winner. There you go. Shannon Carey.
Shannon Carey,
you have just won your very own set of squirrel fingers.
Yay.
So congratulations, Shannon. And if you could please send along, as per usual, your name, mailing address, phone number, and you want to do that to mysterious@americanmcgee.com. If you can, please be sure to format your address in a way that me, a human, can interpret it and then turn it into a label to send you your squirrel fingers, because otherwise I can't be bothered. Somebody sent another address, one of our winners from last week, who's in Wales.
Okay.
And I have to say, whoever came up with the address format for Wales, fuck you.
Is it nonsense?
It's absolute nonsense. It's just really unnecessary.
Show me later.
It's sort of like, if it's not Scottish, it's shit. Well, if it's Welsh, it really is shit, especially if it's a Welsh address, is all I want to say about that. Anyway.
Right.
Apologies to any Welshmen in the audience this evening, but your address,
like Blade Siskadal.
Your address format is poop. So I really struggled with how. It's not that the thing itself is poop, but the system we use for generating labels does not like it.
Okay.
So that's yeah.
All right. Question from Brandy Savasos. I wonder if the butterfly dodge would be back in this game, or is there a whole new way to dodge?
I really liked the butterfly dodge, and I don't even know kind of exactly how I kind of feel like that was one of those things where it was like we had the technology to do it. We had this magic system built into the Unreal Engine that allowed for incredible particle displays, and so it was like we were looking for an excuse to use the particle engine to do crazy stuff, and yeah, that was one of the results. So, but anyway, long answer short, yes, I think we would like to come back something that looks a bit like that kind of dodge. I think that it was a very cool, very, very cool system. So let's see if we can't bring that back.
Leo Super Chats simply says Mad Hatter 2020.
Well, I think there's a lot of people that would think that the Mad Hatter would make a better president than Trump. I've certainly seen people suggest that kind of thing.
He does get the internet quite riled up, doesn't he?
He really does rile people up, so I can imagine that there are people that think the Hatter would be superior. But then all these recordings would come out of him like torturing animals and building weapons of mass destruction with which to destroy Wonderland. I don't know. I mean, he did have a hand with the Russians in making the infernal train. Are you really sure you want Hatter as your president?
I'm sure some would.
This is right. I just want to point something out really quick. I see a lot of people in the chat who are using the question format in an attempt to get a question answered. And I think that Nightbot actually reminds those people quite frequently that if you want a question answered in the chat, you really better do that as a super chat. It used to be that back in the day, the chats and all the things we had to do were light enough that we could actually just read out questions willy-nilly. But the reality is, and I'm taking up time where Martin, I can see his face is covered in frustration. Martin needs to read questions from Patreon, so we cannot just read questions out of the chat, even if you format them correctly. So sorry about that.
But super chats do appear bright and colourful.
They do.
So they pop right out.
That is correct. So please employ super chats.
Yeah. Andrew and Deborah Hawkins ask, any chance of bringing back the cards you throw as projectiles? That was a great weapon. Maybe it could be used in conjunction with the tarot cards.
Yeah, I think the answer to that question is yes. So we are definitely bringing back toys as weapons in Asylum. And you've seen all the artwork and designs that we were showing off today for toys as weapons. And yeah, I think a lot of people really liked the cards as weapons. And this time around, we've also, if you've been following on Patreon, you see a lot of the tarot artwork that's getting done. So we are very likely to see tarot cards as weapons in the new game.
Yeah, and hopefully a physical item too.
Yeah, something like that would be amazing. We've talked about this many times, how much we'd like to make physical, actual tarot cards, and so any excuse to make that happen.
Are you just walking around in circles?
No, I'm supposed to be finding the switch that he's to stand on, and then once he stands on the switch, it opens the gate that allows me to exit the scene. The problem is I'm following the left wall, and it's not taking me where I want to go. So I'm going to switch strategies. I'm going to start following the right wall.
It's a good strategy.
I don't know what else to do.
Ice Killer asked a question. With the confidence dress looking armoured, it got me thinking about how the combat system will work. Will there be stats, like strength, intelligence, dexterity, etc., or just a flat damage/hits mechanic?
I think we've talked about doing things like stats and improvements to weapons, buffs, maybe some sort of skill tree, but we want to make this very light, the application.
Very light.
So Martin and I have had this conversation multiple times, especially around the new God of War, and that is that the skill tree in there and the collection of runes and the use of them and the improvement of your skills and all of the, myriad of attacks that you can unlock and the special moves and the finishes and all this stuff. I understand that from a hardcore gamer perspective, that kind of stuff is really appealing and really valuable. And obviously that game sold like crazy. And are there a lot of people out there complaining about that system being too complex? Or is that just me?
I don't think it's a major concern. It seems a little overwhelming when you first see it. I think it was a little bit of an issue for me, but I don't think it's a major gripe that people are having.
Okay, well, just to finish this up, I think we do want to have those types of things. We want to have stats, we want to have improvements, but we just don't want to make the system absolutely mental. And if you want to know what sort of my barrier, the limit for mental would be for me, it would be something like God of War. I feel like that level of detail is probably too much for the type of game that we want to create, if that makes sense. So that would be my sort of example of just, sort of going too far with level of detail in that kind of system.
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay. Excellent.
Martin said I need to make my responses shorter, and I'm trying, but I know it probably doesn't seem that way.
What else we got here? Lucas Severin. This is an odd one. If you found yourself, Martin and Lulu sucked into Wonderland together, and you all have to fight against twisted versions of all the people who support you and have been twisted by Wonderland, do you think you three could survive?
No.
That's pretty short and sweet, to the point.
No. Can I say that I'm pretty sure, and Martin, I hope you don't feel offended by my saying this, but I'm pretty sure that if we found ourselves, you would have a major freak out.
I probably would.
Yeah,
I'll agree to that.
I have a feeling that in that sort of instance, I would be spending a lot more time trying to help Martin to calm down than I would be spent trying to fight with or get away from enemies. Does that make sense?
But assuming that there was no freakouts or something, in terms of the survivability of Wonderland, could you cope?
I could. I don't think I'd have a problem at all.
I think most people deep down believe that if push came to shove, that they would be quite good at coping in a sort of end of the world zombie apocalypse, being under assault type situation.
I would. What was the Rick and Morty where Rick had created that alternate universe for Beth to go run around and play in, and then there was the guy who had sex. What?
Froopy Land.
Yeah, so Froopy Land. I probably, if you left me in Wonderland for too long, it would turn into Froopy Land. I'd end up making genetic mutants with all of the
all the people would have half human DNA, half game code.
Sure, something like that.
So there you go, Lucas. It's probably a no, but I'd give it a good shot.
Yeah, we would die.
Where did we get to? Priscilla Nasoma makes a comment about the Survey Monkey question about my accent. It says, anyone that rates my accent below average should be banned. I don't know. That was a weird question to add to Survey Monkey.
I was just trying to be cute. I was just trying to keep things light and cute.
Keep it light.
Yeah, that's it.
Kind of broached this question from Nick Hunty about the evilness of the White Rabbit image. Doesn't think a guiding character should look so evil.
Yeah, we did mention this previously, and I mean, again, we're not talking about going into the Disney version of Alice. I do think that I believe in truth in advertising, and I wouldn't want people, say parents, for instance, or just good God-fearing Christians, or I mean, there's a lot of people out there who are sensitive, right, in nature. I wouldn't want them seeing our advertising and getting the wrong idea about the type of experience they're getting into, right? So
yeah.
I think that rabbit makes it pretty clear that if you follow him, you're going to end up in a pretty dark place.
It's pretty accurate. Lucas Severin also super chatting us, wondering what we think our Wonderland counterparts would be like.
I've always maintained the a sort of affinity, and I think I've mentioned this before. If I had to choose a Wonderland character to be, or one that I thought I was like, I would say the Mad Hatter. I like that he's mechanically capable, and he's a bit of an inventor, and he's a bit mad. In fact, when we went to this year's Pirate Jam, we had a pirate council, and the council's job towards the end was to give everyone who participated in Pirate Jam their pirate name. And so everyone got cute little names, and mine was chosen by the Pirate Council was Madcap McGee. So I don't think I'm the only one that thinks I'm a little mad.
Okay.
What would you be, Martin? Oh, fuck's sake.
I don't know. Part of me thinks maybe, like you said, I probably wouldn't cope very well in Wonderland. So maybe like some like the little timidity, dormousey. But then again, maybe just sort of like my old grumpiness would win out. Is there kind of a grumpy old character, like really cynical guy?
And so I think there's the scene where you see obviously the March Hare and the Dormouse are being experimented on in the Hatter's laboratory. They have cute little British accents, so that might be fitting for you.
Maybe.
If you wanted to find somebody whose primary sort of expression was just being grumpy, there were the little gnomes at the start of the first Alice game who told Alice that you need to go sideways, you need to get twisted. I never really understood where the gnomes came from in terms of in the lore, but they were kind of Martin-esque.
Okay, there you go. Maybe I would be a gnome.
A gnome.
Yeah.
A garden gnome. You actually like gardening, so it's all starting to come together, Martin.
Damon Bishop asks if there will be collectible memory fragments in Alice Asylum.
I don't know what shape that might take just yet, but I think we have talked about the fact that memory fragments, however you label them, they do serve the function of delivering exposition. And whenever you're telling a story, this game, the last game, there's a reason why mechanics like that, items like that exist, because exposition in narrative is oftentimes unavoidable, especially when we're sort of picking up in a story where we've not seen bits of her past and there are no other characters around to explain to us who this person is, where she's come from, what her story is. And so whether we call them memory fragments or medical files or in whatever, fill in the blank, right? We could come up with something. There's a very good chance that we cannot avoid exposition. And then the trick of the craft is to find a way to cloak exposition in a mechanic that makes it satisfying and unannoying, right? Because generally speaking, people feel that exposition is annoying. Having to describe verbally events of the past or character traits violates the show don't tell rule that exists in the film world. And so a bad film when a character comes on screen and tells you, I'm a 45-year-old accountant who collects porcelain cats. It's like, I don't want to hear that. But if the writer doesn't have another way to get across to you that character's traits, then oftentimes they have no choice but to have the character announce it directly. So anyway, memory fragments or whatever you want to call them serve that purpose.
I like hearing like stories in games. I hate having to read walls of text when you like go somewhere and you find documents and you have to read paragraphs about paragraphs. But I love Horizon Zero Dawn. They had audio files that you listen to as well as text to read. And God of War, are you at that bit yet? Do you have like is there a head with you at all? Well, somebody tells you stories.
Yeah, so I am with you. I hate walls of text in games. If I want to read a book, I'll go read a fucking book. Don't make me read tons of text in the context of a game, because I don't think that's why I sat down to play a game. And I agree also that hearing audio over what's happening in the game is acceptable. I think we want to try to avoid the use of cutscenes, and we did that. We tried in the last Alice. Try to avoid cutscenes as much as possible, especially when they're designed to deliver exposition. So there's a bunch of ways we can go at this. But yeah, I think that 2 ways I want to focus on for the new game. One, the recovery of, call them audio files, whatever we end up, whatever skin we put on them. So the recovery of audio files will be one. And then the other one is storytelling via characters who are traveling alongside with you. I want to do that as well. So as we travel through quieter sections of the game, have the White Rabbit or the Cheshire Cat or somebody pop up and tell us a bit of a fable.
Yeah, definitely audio over text.
Yes.
Ray Weatherford super chats telling you to use the multi-card shot on the wraiths.
Thank you, Ray, for the super chat. I just want to point out that were you to try helping me play the game less terribly via super chats, you would very likely go bankrupt very, very quickly. So I also want to say that it may be that I'm actually not that terrible at this game, but I'm trying to draw it out so we've got something to look at while Martin and I wax philosophic.
I don't think that's what's happening.
No.
Ice Killer. The stream is crapping out. Look at the stats. OBS still kind of looks a little happy. But at the end of the day, there's literally nothing we can do about any of that. We just have to grit our teeth and bear it.
There is very little we can do about that, but I do want to point out what time it is.
Got some more comments to go through.
But since the stream is crapping out, what we could do is go ahead and set up to give away our last prize for today's stream.
Okay.
And also we could sort of wrap up because we are coming up on the 2-hour mark, and if the stream's crapping out and we have no control over that, maybe it's just time to call it a day.
Maybe.
There you go.
There you go.
All right, so we are going to give away one more prize today.
Back
so I'm
to the patches.
It is going to be patches, embroidered patches. I'm going to give you guys a minute to...
Where do you think my t-shirt came from? The actual TV show.
Plus Ultra.
Do you know?
Very question.
Oh, Ray Weatherford, super chats, $2 to spite you.
Oh, that's very sweet of you, Ray.
Wish people spited us more like that.
If spite on the internet generated money like that, everyone would be millionaires. Twitter would be the quickest source of becoming rich that the world had ever seen. So just prior to our saying farewell here, we're going to give away one more prize. But before we do that, let's go over to my website, AmericanMcGee.com, where you will find a page detailing the ways in which you can help us to make Alice Asylum a reality. First up on the list, sign the mailing list. This is very important. We need to make the mailing list number as big as possible.
We do.
And right now we're hovering just around 40,000 people, so please spread the word about the mailing list and sign up for it if you've not done so already.
Only real ones.
Only real people, not real dead people, not people who are not interested in a new game.
Yeah.
Second thing you can do is follow me on social media. I am on YouTube, Twitter. God, Twitter is such a dumpster fire. I'm on Facebook. I'm also on Instagram, and we keep forgetting to add Instagram to this list of buttons.
We'll do that today.
You write that
I'll
down.
jot that down.
But I am on Instagram, and we oftentimes drop lots of new art and do contests over on Instagram, so please join us there. If you are interested in seeing people call me a Nazi or otherwise insult me for my politics, then Twitter is the place to be. And of course, here on YouTube, we do live streams every week. Patreon is where you can spend as little as $1 per month to get access to all the pre-production artwork, design, and narrative stuff that we're doing. That money actually goes to support the production of all these things. Turns out art is not cheap.
It isn't, surprisingly.
Costs us a lot of money to produce all this artwork. But at Patreon, you can do your part to help getting that stuff done. We also have things coming up like this reward. This is the Chaos Coin.
Yeah.
We are going to be sending this out to patrons when we hit our 2,000 patron goal. And we're getting really close to that. We're at, what's the number right now, Martin? For the
1,806.
Something like that. But the Chaos coin is super cool. That's the thing that was in the video we started the chat with this morning. And if you head over to Mysterious, you can actually see it. It is for sale there, but this is a price that's higher than what you can get it for on Patreon. So if you want to save money and also support the art and games that you like, then I would recommend you go over to Patreon and become a patron today. Oh, I shouldn't be streaming video.
Oh, no.
We're streaming video. Oh, no. Streamingception. Anyway, you can get some details about this there. You can also get details over on Patreon. That's where we're all kind of sharing all this cool art. And you can get your feedback. And Martin will sometimes read your comments.
Yeah.
Anyway, last but not least, there is Mysterious. That is the shop where we sell merchandise Alice related, like t-shirts and wallets and necklaces and all kinds of fun stuff.
Yeah, so the awesome list of 4 ways to support us. Check it out. Do what you can.
4 ways to support. So that does...
yeah, lots of people in the chat knew that this was from My Hero Academia.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's awesomely fun anime. And lots of other people also realized that the Frog Girl is the best character ever.
You're going to have to bring that over sometime. I don't know what that is.
It's very lighthearted and fun.
I don't like lighthearted and fun. I
You're
like
not.
blood, guts, and violence. Aren't we watching Deadpool tonight?
We're watching Deadpool 2 tonight.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
That's more my speed.
I assume there's lots of blood and violence in that.
Guessing so. All right.
Yeah.
We have filled up the chat. We've got a bunch of people ready and waiting. So here we go for the set of Asylum patches.
Roll it.
Zelda Reyes.
Yeah, okay.
Congratulations, Zelda. You have won your very own set of Asylum patches. If you could please do me a favor. Email to mysterious@americanmcgee.com with your mailing address, your phone number, email address. You could mention that you've won patches. Please do be sure to format your address in a way that I can read it.
Please do. Oh, there's an Ice Killer super chat. I had feedback for Omri on the armor. Hope he can see that.
Do you want to,
well,
this is all about Martin, guys. I don't know. We can't make Martin read comments faster.
Well, I may not have jotted that one down.
Uh-oh.
So, Omri, go to Patreon. Look at the armor comment from Ice Killer.
That was for
Apparently
the Alice
it's
armor.
important.
Was that the Alice armor comment?
I guess.
There's really no other.
The only armor there is.
The blue knight armor that he put the comment there.
Yeah, just got the comment about the confidence dress and stats from.
To do with that.
I could go back and look at that comment a bit more thoroughly, but yes, it's heard of.
There you go. Alice on Elm Street sends a super chat. You should try Elfin Lead.
I've heard of that. Oh no, look at OBS. Oh jeez. Sorry guys, if it's the stream is being nonsenseful.
Yeah, we don't really understand what's causing this.
Look at that.
It's almost as if somebody's unplugging the wire from time to time, and we literally have no control over that. So,
Catherine Alice North asks if any of those weapons are likely to have a similar range to the pepper grinder or teapot.
That kind of question, it's a bit, it's a bit specific to get into the actual range of weapons at the point we are right now. I guess, as a part of the back and forth, I'd be kind of curious, like, why the person is asking that particular question. Why is the range of those weapons interesting or not? Do they like
I guess
the
they
range like that? They don't like the range like that. I mean, I found the pepper grinder in Madness Returns to be very satisfying, and that was because you could just machine gun stuff all over the place with it.
I guess they don't like getting up close and personal with their combat. They like to stay at range.
Yeah, okay. Well, so yeah, I mean, maybe in that comment you could say, like, I liked or I didn't like, and therefore, did I just fall in a hole? Oh, I've just fallen into some turtle fart world. Okay, keep going, Martin.
Keep going.
Don't slow down. Don't look at what I'm doing. Read your damn comments.
Midori Anzai. Will Alice have some level of invincibility mode, like Rage Box and Hysteria?
Yeah, I think as a general rule, we like to have the occasional mode like that. And so let's expect for there to be, it's sort of an emotional outburst mode, right?
Yes.
I think that would not be uncommon for us to find in an Alice game. It's just a question of what are we labeling it and why? What does it do exactly? But yes.
Yeah, going back to the anime chat earlier, I think there's a lot of like really stylistic ways these days now that can be represented. Like people going berserk or like beast mode or rage or losing control. I think it could look fantastic.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Viviana asks, would there be weapons based on the stage that you're currently in? Specific weapon for that world? Or maybe the dresses have some sort of specific power that could be used as a weapon?
Yeah, I mean, I think what we've talked about with the idea of revisiting some of the areas from time to time is that you may have a weapon that has a sort of, let's call it a tool use that is applicable within a particular level only after you've left and then come back to that level. So I imagine that the weapons you're carrying, you're not going to have a weapon that is only useful in a particular zone or only being able to carry it in a particular zone, but it could be that, like, let's say, for instance, we've got an ice wand, and early on, there's a section that you want to get across, but there's a chasm, and then later on you come back and there's like a waterfall there, and you can use the ice wand to freeze the water, and now it allows for like a climbing or a crossing, right?
Yeah.
So I think that kind of stuff, we're going to say yes. We're going to have, however you want to call that, but it's sort of a time gate or a weapon gate within levels that, requires some backtracking in order to get through.
Yeah, it's like classic Zelda-esque progression.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, what did we get to? Bethan K. Could it be possible for the dice to have different attacks instead of just differing numbers of marbles dropping from the sky?
Yeah, I think the person who wrote that
number.
I think the person who wrote that comment, either they or I misinterpreted what Joey's artwork was suggesting. So my interpretation of what Joey is recommending there is that depending on what you roll, different things sort of fall out of the sky as a function of the attack. And so to answer that question, then the answer is just automatically yes. Depending on what you roll, you're going to see different things appear. The risk, as someone mentioned in the comments, was that when you don't know what an attack is going to be, it can oftentimes be frustrating that the attack that is rolled kind of whiffs. It doesn't, you know what I'm saying? So you're rolling that attack and you're thinking that it's going to be a grenade, and instead a flower pops out of the ground, and you're not too happy about that. So,
well, that's the balance, isn't it? The powerful attack has to be so good that the risk is worth it.
Yeah, and it could be the kind of thing where you can only roll those dice every once in a while, and so in the midst of any sort of attack, before you walk into a room, you just throw the dice in there, and sometimes it's a nuclear bomb, and sometimes it's a Cheshire cat fart, and so you don't know which I don't know, maybe a Cheshire cat fart is actually more deadly than a nuclear bomb.
Perhaps.
In Wonderland, perhaps nuclear bombs don't do jack, but Cheshire cat farts will basically destroy the world, so who knows.
Okay. We got Alexandra. When we pass the game, we will have the opportunity to use all the weapons, or can we just use some in the current stage? Well, that kind of similar to what we just talked about. Okay. Here's one from Salah. Would it be possible for Alice's first dress to be somewhat related to her older sister? That would explain her love for dresses and why they change in the first place.
I'm trying to form a response to some of these questions in general, because I feel like a lot of the questions are, in fact, they're really just more like suggestions. It's someone has an idea, and then they're posing their question they're posing their suggestion. In other words, Sala has a suggestion. My suggestion is that Alice have a sister and a dress, and there's a love of this explains, because at the end of the day, the sort of generic response to a lot of the questions that are being proposed here is anything is possible. Once we start to go through, proper design and sitting down and mapping a lot of this stuff out, then you would have an answer, yes or no. Yeah. But I'm a little concerned that a lot of the quote-unquote questions we're getting are, in fact, they're not questions, they're suggestions. And
I did notice as I was compiling them, a lot of them where it's basically, will this thing 2 years down the line happen?
Yeah, and it's almost impossible for me to answer these with anything other than anything is possible.
Yeah.
And so I'm not sure that you're getting full value out of the airtime here if we continue down this road. I mean, I would say that what might be more useful is that, hey, I have a suggestion. My suggestion is this, and then as far as questions go, they could be things. Well, I mean, when somebody asks a question of like, well, what did you mean in the game when this XYZ happened? I can give you a definitive answer on that.
Yeah.
If someone asks a question like, do you think Alice as a character, we might see her carrying a machine gun, I can give you a definitive answer on that and why we wouldn't necessarily see her carrying a machine gun into Wonderland. A lot of these, hey, do you think that, we could have a Santa Claus gun and that whenever she fires the Santa Claus gun, it freezes her enemies? It's like, yeah, sure. I mean, yeah.
Maybe.
But, I mean, maybe. There's nothing in the lore or in the game itself that suggests that we couldn't, as long as Santa Claus was known. It doesn't violate the rules. So, okay.
Jump in the water.
I know, I'm having fun.
Jump in the water.
I know. I'm just trying to clear out this upper section.
You don't know.
I was in the water before I died there. I'm just trying to clear out this upper section before I go jump in the water. I just wanted to make sure everything was dead.
You're just being thorough, is that it?
Being thorough. Thorough, Governor. And I've thoroughly third the thorough there.
Okay, let's do one more question then from my document.
Well, have you finished those questions?
I only put like 20 or so down.
Well, let's just try to get through them, because
a lot of them are like very similar to that.
To completely cut out again, and now it's reconnected. Okay, so we're just waiting. We now see that OBS has reconnected. Again, we have no control over this. It's just this occasional random drop. Okay, so the question was, could we have the flamingo weapon, Flamingo, as a physical item? And my answer was yes, and I'd like to talk about this. So one of the things that we're doing is we're talking to people in China and in the US who are interested in games, but they also happen to be retailers and suppliers of physical goods. That is to say, they ship or they otherwise make and then send out physical items into the world. Those companies are getting interested in becoming games publishers because they're just taking over everything in the supply chain, from games and movies to grocery stores. And, anyway, if you know anything about the way the world is going right now, you'll know who I'm talking about and what I'm talking about. So back to your question, when I've proposed that those guys fund something like Alice, one of the things that they're interested in is not that we would have in-game purchase, because all of us have agreed we do not want to have in-game purchase or free-to-play mechanics or any of that kind of crap. But if you look at like what a Disney film is, or a Star Wars film is, or even to some degree, like, say, an album by your favorite artist like Nine Inch Nails these days, a lot of these businesses run not on the music or the film or the game, but they run on the merchandise. And so the question is, how do you build properties which empower the sale of merchandise, and vice versa? How does merchandise fit into your property? This is how we get away from free-to-play. This is how we can finance good games that are single-player, narrative-driven, non-free-to-play, non-in-game purchase, because the games, in effect, become like a living catalog for all the crap you can buy. And I think that for people who don't want to buy the crap, the game exists, they have fun. For people who do want to buy the crap exists, and they have fun, and everybody's happy. And so that is partly at the core of the pitch that we're making to the people who might finance the production of something like a 20 off the stream. We will call our VPN supplier and make mention to them of this happening.
So I guess we're back.
All right.
Right, so yeah, apologies for all of the disconnecting. It's beyond our ability to fix. It's just the internet. It's
China.
just the way it is.
Well, be specific. Blame China. You guys have Donald Trump. We have the Great Firewall. There is no place in the world that is lacking in frustration. Trust me.
Seems it.
And complaining about it does very little to improve the situation. So best to just get along.
So yes, we'll wrap it up there before it breaks again.
Sorry, everyone, for Chinese internet, but thank you so much for joining us today. We will be back next week at the regular time.
No, we won't. We'll be back on Friday next week.
Right, we're going to come back on Friday. I think we also deserve. We need to be doing a European stream for our European fans. So perhaps next Friday night.
All right. It's going to be a different day and a different time.
Martin can come over for a sleepover, and we'll do a Friday evening stream, and that way our friends in the EU can join us.
Okay.
Great.
And we're going to attempt to use the end card again for ending our stream. So forgive us if we don't get it quite right. You won't need buttons, but we're going to add them later, so fingers crossed for that.
There you go.
There you go.
All right, everyone. Thank you again so much for joining us. We are going to just lag out here, so have a good or day wherever you are, and we will see you again next week. Bye-bye.
See you later.